It looked like a dog, you know. They call it like the dog man or something. I mean, this thing was built. I mean, this thing was rugged. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to tangle with it, you know.
One night, I'm sitting there and I had a dead body in my bed.
Yes, that's when I started hearing the doors opening and closing and then walking through the house.
And this thing, it pounded on the glass and pounded on the glass. And then the one night, that glass fell out.
Welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methenkamp. If you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and shoot me a message there, and we'll get you on the show. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on your favorite podcast player, make sure you're smashing that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, and leave me a comment. I really like reading your comments, and let me know how I'm doing. I can't make improvements if you don't tell me what I'm doing wrong. On tonight's show, we have Doris, and she works at the Missouri State Penitentiary, where they do paranormal tours, and she has a lot of interesting encounters that she's witnessed and heard about while working there. I hope you enjoy the show.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
On top of the world, looking down at the peasants, and you?
Well, I've got a mullet, so I'm doing great.
I sort of got one, I guess. No, it's Fair Fawcett. Let's go Fair Fawcett.
Hey, that's all right too. That's all right too. So you worked at the state pen.
Yeah, if you look up, it's under MissouriPenTours.com, and you can go up there. They closed it down. This prison was open in the 1800s, and so when it was first open, it was a men's and women's prison. So it's been open for quite some time. You'll hear, like on some of the old westerns and stuff, that they're going to Missouri to drop off their prisoners because we were the closest prison to anything on the other, anything towards California. We were the closest prison. So this one had and everything. It had the hospital and everything, which was taken down when they closed it down because it was not ADA compliant in like 2004, I believe. So they started doing tours. They do a history tour during the day, and then they do ghost tours at night. We've had different people come in. There's been all kinds of shows. If you looked at Ghost Hunters and stuff like that, they have filmed there. We have a gas chamber that you can actually sit in, the seat that a lot of people have been gassed in. Tiny Mercer, if you've ever heard of him, was put to death there. So
I don't think that I would want to sit in that chair. I think that would be just too. I'm not that I'm like afraid of the ghosts that are there, but I just think that would be kind of morbid. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's pretty crazy, but everybody usually has their picture taken in it, and like you're about to get zapped or something. But usually the most activity is down around that particular little building, which is kind of way off from the rest of the prison. But it was a good sized prison. I mean, there was ball fields in there. As a kid, the guys that play baseball growing up, like, little league teams and stuff, would go in and play for the prisoners. They also would have other weird. Now, this is really weird. They had little girls come in and dance. Now, some of these are pedophiles, but they would come in and dance for them. So it was kind of strange stuff that went on there. But the stuff that was really spooky, they have a couple different things in there that I don't know what it is. One is this black. I mean, it's absolutely black, whatever it is. And on one occasion, I worked the gift shop, and I also worked the ticket booth. So I was walking out of the gift shop this one night, and I was trying to fix the computer, had my boss on the phone, and walking down the steps. So this one was the building I was in was nothing but a housing unit. And I was going down the steps and everything turned black and it was daylight outside. And I'm like, what the, and as quick as it came, it went. And then I saw this black thing just like race down the steps. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm on the
So
phone with my mom and she's going, what's wrong?
so it like enveloped you?
It just went right around me. It wasn't fog, but kind of like with fog, if you would think about it going around you. I mean, it was, I can't even say, it was totally black. And at first I thought I was blacking out, or something like I hadn't eaten or something. It was hot that day, you know. And then my boss goes, "What? Are you okay?" And I said, "Well," I said, "the damnedest thing just happened." And she goes, "Oh, I forget what she called him, but she said, yeah, he does that every once in a while." It's like, oh, lovely. Okay, what have you got? This is my best friend from high school that got me this job and is my boss. And I'm like, what have you got me into here? This is one of my first couple of days there. So
Did this your boss, did they see this thing go around you, or they just knew about this thing?
they already knew about it. This happens frequently in there. There's also an animal that's in the prison that shows up, a ghost animal, a dog, that in that same building in the basement thing, that it will bark at you. They actually have pictures of it, and it shows up in ghost form, and you can actually see this dog, and you actually hear it barking. It's the
Really?
crazy. Yes. I have not seen that one. But I was coming out of the gift shop, which a gift shop you walk through these like little bars, because what it used to be was like kind of like a Sally Port type thing. And you know what I mean by Sally Port?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you been there to jail? No, I'm
No, but
joking.
I know what you're talking about. Shh! Don't tell
So
anybody.
this
I'm in a witness protection program.
this was supposed to be like a counseling area. So what they would do is they'd have the office with the person, the counselor in it. And then in order to switch people, they would close her in. And then, there was the Sally Port type thing. And it was nothing but just a jail cell, basically, just of metal. And it was probably about, oh, I don't know, about 1 inch square, um, metal all the way around this thing with a door. The door was open. They let him out or lock her in and lock him in, and then let the person out. So I was walking through that area to get back into, well, I was coming out of the area because I was trying to see where the tour was. And the first step out of that office, something hit me on the head. Okay, it's an old prison, things fall from the ceiling, so I'm not thinking much of it. And then I take another step and it's hitting me in the head again. And it's like, what's the odds of this? The third step, by that time, I'm like getting creeped out. So I thought, okay, somebody's screwing with me, that's on the tour. And I look up in the balcony, which we did not have access to that side of the building. They had it just totally shut down because there was too many things that people could get hurt on. And I look up and I see this little, I don't know, I'm going to call it a gremlin looking thing. And it was just jumping around like a little monkey or something. And I'm like, okay, I'm out. I ran out the front door. Like, see you later. Bye. I waited for the tour to come in, and I was visually disturbed at this point, and I'm ready to kill my friend at this point. but there's so much. I mean, when I was working the ticket booth one night, and by this time I've settled in. It's been a couple of years of being in the prison, kind of used to the weird stuff that goes on. And I'm sitting there and I'm counting the money, and I just happened to be counting out loud that night. I was going 10, 20, and somebody goes 30. Well, I'm in this glass bubble. It was the control booth for the main, like the very front of the prison, and you have all the control buttons of closing the gates and everything. And there's nobody around because I didn't let anybody in. I'm sealed in there. Nobody can get to me because I have all the money for the tours. But somebody's in there going, they're counting with me. I'm like, you go away, I can count myself. So, but there's all kinds of crazy stuff. The people coming on these tours, and even ghost hunters, and I can't think of the other show's name that these guys were on that came down. And when they came back from the gas chamber, they were freaked out bad. I don't know what they saw, what they heard,
What
but
was it?
they were,
Destination Fear?
uh, I'm not sure. I mean, I have pictures on my phone of the guys, but I don't know how
Was
I
it
would.
was it two guys and a girl?
No, these are all guys.
Okay.
And this would have been about 7 years ago, I think.
Hmm.
Um, I can't remember. It was one of them, one of the ghosty, not ghost hunters, but another one of the big time ghost thing. Because I met most of the people on Ghost Hunters and all the other shows. Ghost Adventures. There you go.
Okay.
That's them. Yep, that's them. Yep, Zach. She's right. Nicole's got it. But yeah, if you go back and look at their thing, they came up and they were so disturbed by whatever they saw down there that they left for the night. They wouldn't even stay the rest of the night because
Really?
I was supposed to be there from like midnight till like 6 o'clock in the morning with them while they were filming. But they came back so freaked out they wanted out of that prison, and they were doing that Flintstone feet to get out of there.
Wow.
But yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes on in that prison. And I don't think they put all the stuff up on, which I think they should, like post some of the pictures and stuff on their websites and stuff from everybody, because you see stuff and some person just doing the tour can take a picture and you can see stuff in the pictures, but they don't post them other than to their personal pages instead of letting everybody see what they found,
Right.
which would be cool.
So
So
I had my microphone muted because I didn't want the feedback or anything, but I was trying to ask that monkey thing that you saw. Did it look
that
like
was
a monkey or did it just remind you of a monkey?
it reminded me of a monkey the way that it moved, and it was, but head-wise, kind of a gremlin looking type-ish head. And it's like, I don't know what you are. I've gone hunting and everything else. I'm him here in Missouri, grew up in Missouri. I've seen a lot of animals in my life, but I ain't
Right.
seen nothing like that. That was the first and the last.
You have
So,
the Ozark Howler out there.
oh yeah, we got all kinds of crazy stuff here. I don't know. Everybody says they got a Bigfoot in each state, so I don't know where Bigfoot is, but
Yeah, yeah,
apparently,
they're seen in every state in the union except for Hawaii.
well, we should take them one. Let's put one on the boat. Why should they not have one? Yes, I'm a hot mess.
I love it. I love it. All like a picture was like King Kong. You got him chained up, and you take him down there for the people of Hawaii to see, and all of a sudden he
Float them on a
breaks
boat.
loose and he's taking down planes and stuff.
Float him on a boat. Let him see if he likes spam.
Spam and pineapples. And Tommy says Bigfoot on the beach. Heck yeah.
Uh,
Well, I
I
tell
think it'd be great.
I like you. You've been a fun guest. I can tell you that.
Well, thank you. I'm a little bit of a mess, but and that's why the tours were fun. I mean, I used to pull people out when I was done getting them in and everything. My favorite thing to do after doing all their tickets and everything was to punch the button, and you would not believe how many people got scared to death when those bars close. Because I mean, it's the real bars of the prison that closed behind you going in, couple people had major anxiety attacks and was freaking out in the lobby and stuff. So I go out and mess with them. I said, "You're not getting out." And I put one guy, I think I gave him some trauma because he was sweating bullets, man. But yeah, it's a fun little tour. If y'all are in Missouri, it's in Jefferson City, Missouri. And it's a very old prison. And like I said, or I started to say, it was a men's and women's prison. So when they took the face off it, I mean, I grew up here in Jeff City and I had no clue on this. And when they took the face of it off and took the hospital away, oh, that's the one I got to tell you about that one too. They just leveled that and kept the main old prison, and at the top of it's a very ornate clock with the governor. His eyes face what was the Capitol, but the Capitol burnt down. So his eyes would have been in view of the Capitol looking at it. And then over the top, there was two wagon doors that opened. One says women and the other says men. So it housed even women. There was a little boy, a lady had a baby in there. So it had already done 5 years of time when they left because it was born in there. It stayed in there. He was 5 years old when he left.
Holy cow. How long ago was that?
Well, that was in the 1800s that they used to sentence the women with their babies or their kids. The kids would come in and live with them because and that was the weird thing about this prison is since it was the capital city, the men went out and they had like a crew that actually did all of the gardening and everything because that's how they were fed back then. And then the women would go out and be hired by like senators and representatives to clean their house and cook for them. And then they would bring them back in the wagons back to the prison where they would also cook their dinners and all the prisoners' dinners too. So they
Wow.
did walking and everything else. Yeah. But it's also known for this was the first prison that put their people to work and was selling things. And that's how they got in trouble, where now prisoners get so much money for working. They were the biggest saddle producers in the actually in the world. And people would order saddles from there and ship them all over the world. And
Really?
they were pumping them out. And then it got to be a bad thing in the 50s and 60s about making prisoners work. Haha, you know, and so they had to start paying them because they were the only prison that made a profit. So all the other prisons were looking at them and asking, why are they making a profit? But going back to that hospital that was knocked down, where they knocked that down at, they decided to use that land as a federal court building. So they put this federal court building up, and one of the guys, when I would, in between tours, I'd go out front and sit down on the front of the steps and smoke a cigarette, and hang out, waiting for them to come back, And one of the guys from across the street came over and he goes, "Hey, you work here?" And I said, "No, well, I guess if you call it that, but whatever," started messing with him. And he goes, "Well, I work over here at the federal building." And he goes, "What was over here?" And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "We got this thing going down the hall, and he said, I can't explain it. It's almost like a cloud or something, but it's a dark cloud. We can see it on the cameras, and it goes whizzing by all of these rooms. And what it does, when it goes by these rooms, it turns off the lights. And then if it comes back, it will turn every light on in the place." And I said, "Oh, that's yours. You keep it over there, And I said, "I don't want nothing to do with that." He goes, "What the heck is it?" And I said, "Can you send me the video of it?" And this thing, it pounded on the glass and pounded on the glass. And then the one night, That glass fell out. They put in so far that I know of 12 pieces of glass in that one window. This thing, and they can see it on video. They can see it knocking it out,
I
but
I,
it's
I want
only
to see this video.
I don't have the video anymore. Unfortunately, my phone crapped and I lost that video. I don't know if he's working there anymore, but I can try and find him and try and get that video.
Absolutely.
They have had all kinds of problems with this thing, and it scares a lot of the judges and especially the court reporters and stuff because they're there like later on usually or earlier than the judges and stuff. And this thing messes with that. It's one particular floor, and it's the very same window. So I said, "Hey, who's putting your window in?" And he said, "Well, it's Mark's Mobile Glass. It's a local company here, or was." And I happened to know the guy. So the next time I was near there and saw him, I said, "Hey, I want to ask you something about windows." And he goes, "What do you want to know?" And I said, "Well, specifically, I want to know about this window up there." And he goes, "Oh, I don't want to even talk about that window." And I said, "Well, I do." you know. And I said, "Is this something? I mean, is there something that would cause this? I mean, is it warped? Because these windows are sealed windows. They're just plain glass, and they do have the shatterproof, kind of like what a windshield would have, because it is on an upper floor. But they're huge panes of glass. They're probably, I mean, looking from the ground, I would say that they're like at least 8 foot by 8 foot square windows and just sealed on there." I said, "Is it something with the frame?" He goes, "We've replaced the frames on this thing." He goes, "We have done everything." He said, "Some of them have been shattered so hard, it was like something." And he said, "And it's coming from the inside." He said, "It's like something heavier than even a shot put going up against that window to do the damage that it's done." But yet we can look at all of the videos because the courthouse, of course, is videoed every inch of it, right? And he said, "And all we see is that damn thing going up to that window. And once it's at that window, you see it disappear, but then the window goes poof." And
Wow.
this is nuts, you
Yeah,
know?
those windows, they're tempered.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, tempered glass. And like you can punch that stuff in the middle and it won't break. Like the
And
only way you can really break those is by doing something extreme, or you have to tap it on the edges. But
yeah, and this one, since it's high up off the ground, I guess it has to be so much thickness because it's on the third floor.
yeah,
And this is like really super thick glass. And it's like, I don't even think if you got the tough guy contest in town with a sledgehammer, you could beat this glass out of there like that.
yeah, it would be tough. I mean, they're made for that. They're made to keep people from running into them and jumping out the windows. That's exact. I mean, that's what they're made for.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even, and it might even be bulletproof glass too, since it's a judicial building. I don't know. It's a federal judicial building. So I don't know if maybe they put bulletproof glass, but it ain't ghost proof. I don't know. They really need to find a thing for that. But as far as I know, they were still replacing those things. It constantly blows out. But where that set was right where the section of the hospital where they put the crazy people. Yeah, so I don't know if this is really a super crazy person or what, but um there's some that's weird. And we've seen stuff like down in that area, like in the evenings and stuff. If you sit out front while the tours were going, we would see things go by. And I kind of thought it was, we also have some homeless in that area, but that's like a bluff right there because you're right at the Missouri River. because they had the trains coming in to pick up stuff, that they sold and everything. And the trains would back into kind of another little train, Sally Port, to load up and go out with all the stuff that they made and the stuff that the supplies coming in. But right at the end of that, where that hospital was, it was sitting right on the bluff. So if you jumped out of one of the hospital windows, you're probably going to end up on the train tracks.
Yeah.
So, and right there, we would see these figures, but we also know that there was homeless in there, so we couldn't really confirm what we saw. But we'd hear, you'd hear things in there. You'd hear people screaming um, every once in a while. The best time to go is when it's raining and storming like crazy. You will hear all kinds of stuff. People yelling down. There was one person that I was going, "Sir, sir, you need to come back here." And I was with one of the other girls that had worked there for a while. I said, "Sir, you're going down the wrong way. You need to come back." And this guy was just not even looking back, not even acknowledging me or nothing. And he had like a white coat on and everything. And she grabbed my arm and started laughing. She goes, "That's our little ghost here. He used to work for the doctor and he goes up and down." And I said, "It is not." By the time I turned back, that guy was nowhere even there, and there was nowhere for him to go.
So you couldn't see through this. It looked like a solid form.
Yeah, he looked like a real person. I thought this dude was like he had his clipboard in his hand and had this white coat on with some pants and everything. Couldn't see. I mean, he had already walked past me, so I didn't see what he was wearing underneath there. But it was like a white coat, like you used to see doctors wear all the time,
Yeah.
and had a clipboard in his hand and was writing and looking down at the clipboard. And they said
Wow.
they've seen it many times. So, yeah, some crazy stuff went on. I was like, that wasn't real. And I said, I need a psychiatrist soon. I mean, some of this stuff's crazy. But, I mean, like I said, if you get a chance to go in there, take one of the ghost tours and take the longer tours or the overnight, um, definitely worth it. They usually do the tours like March to about November because there's no heat and there's no air conditioning in there. So, but at the beginning of the season, after it's been cold, it stays cold for a long time. So, if you want to do an overnight and it's summer, your best bet is to go in May and June because you won't burn up. Because once that all because it's made of limestone, once that limestone flips over, it is so hot in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they didn't have air conditioners when they were still living there up till 2004. Or
Wow.
the heat was barely. So, but they've turned the heat off. And originally the state still owned it, but the city has now bought it with the tour money that they've made. And they're still not going to turn on the heat because it'd be way too expensive. Even just the electricity bill running the lights is over $5,000 a month.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Oh,
try
yeah.
heating or cooling that, and it's
Yeah, because
probably
you've got.
6 times that.
We had one more housing building, but it had to be knocked down because we had a tornado go through about 3 or 4 years ago, and it just damaged it so bad structurally that it had to go. These things were built so long ago that a lot of them are gone, and some of the shops that they worked in is gone. So there's really just two housing units left, and the main building, which also had some housing in it too. So there's just three buildings, but out of those three buildings, they'll scare the bejesus out of you on most nights.
Well, yeah. I definitely want to go though. And maybe
Yeah,
when we go out and see Laura in Iowa, we can just swing through Missouri
where's
and
she at in Iowa?
not far from the Valeska axe murder house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
She's near
let's
Omaha.
see,
Omaha,
near
Omaha.
that's Omaha's, Nebraska.
Yeah, but she's in Iowa. She's just
Omaha, Iowa.
no. I think.
Um,
Oh,
the if she's in Iowa, to the Iowa border here, and depending on where she's at,
she says
you're
she's
looking
across the river from Omaha.
across the river from Omaha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're probably looking at from Omaha. You're probably looking at about a 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not horrible.
Or
I'm
the
coming from
fun thing.
Indiana, so it's going to be a long drive no matter what.
Oh, well then you pretty much just cut almost through here.
Right.
If are you going out I-70?
Oh, we just decided on this trip tonight, so we don't know what we're doing.
Where do you live in Indiana?
North, west or east central Indiana.
I lived in Mishawaka.
Mishawaka. That sounds familiar. I'm not sure where it's at. I've only lived in Indiana for like 4 years.
Mishawaka is right by South Bend. It's like a sister city.
Okay.
So right there at Notre Dame.
Okay.
So we were stationed up there. My ex was Navy, and there was a Navy Reserve Center there. But if you're central Indiana, you're probably going to come out 70 to get to her.
Oh yeah.
Not unless you go through there. But if you're on 70, when you hit Kingdom City, you're only about 30 minutes from the tours and stuff. But I definitely would go up to that MissouriPennTours.com and book your tickets on when you want to go, because sometimes they get too packed. There's also not a lot of overnight stuff, and the overnight stuff is a lot more fun. You'll see and hear a lot more stuff if you do the overnights.
I would
than if
definitely
you
want to do an overnight.
Yeah, so I would go up there and look at the overnights and what they have available, because
Yeah.
that's the good stuff. So, but I need to jump off here. I saw where we went. My son kind of did my snow off my driveway and kind of ripped his little muscle in his arm, and I had to take him to the emergency room. And he just called. I'm
Oh
afraid
yeah.
he.
Yeah, you need to get off here and take care of that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I took him over there and I picked him up, but I need to see what he's wanting. But it's been fun. Let me know if you come out this way. I'm going to go ahead and hit follow on you
I
so that
appreciate it. I will follow you back after the live. And
can
thank you for
see.
coming in tonight.
All right, y'all have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye bye.
And that's it for tonight. Once again, I'd like to thank Doris for coming on the show. And if you have a paranormal encounter, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com and we'll get you on the show. Have a good night, everyone.
Let's go rolling like a freight train.